Hi, everyone, and welcome to the School Marketing Show Live. We are on episode 16 and actually the last episode of 2020. So we're so excited that you're here with us. If this is your first time, welcome. And I encourage you to kind of go back and watch all of our other episodes from 2020. But really here at Finalsite, professional development and education are a big piece of our overall culture. So we use this show as a way to get new content, new answers to questions in front of schools and districts around the world regarding marketing, admissions, advancement, you name it, we cover it. And we always take the voices of our community into consideration. So be sure to let us know if you have anything that you would like us to cover in 2021. Now, in last episode, episode 15, we actually talked about kind of the season of Thanksgiving and how to boost morale and really engage with your community around this time. So it's important to think about all of that, take it into consideration this time, especially obviously if you're a US school, but if you're not a US school, you can still use these tips and tricks to really engage with your community always. So today we're really going to kind of keep on with that theme of Thanksgiving and really bring up Giving Tuesday. So if you're in an independent school, you're likely gearing up for Giving Tuesday to help increase donations for your annual fund, maybe your capital campaign, or even smaller, more targeted campaigns. So we actually have less than a month to go. So now's really the time to craft that content and strategy to help aid in your overall development efforts. So in today's episode, we're going to cover the top 9 ways that you can make the most of this year's campaign. So if you're unsure of how to strategize for this campaign, or if you haven't begun to really think about it, I encourage you to stop what you're doing, take the next few minutes with us as we talk through these strategies. Now, I think before we get into those 9 pieces that you can think about for Giving Tuesday, I know, Mia, we were actually just talking before going live here about the difference with Giving Tuesday this year in light of the pandemic. So do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So I think, with all celebrations or fundraisers or any event, it all feels a little heavy and it all feels a little different. And I think everything that a school communicator or fundraiser or admissions director has to put together, they have to put their COVID hat on, and it's probably their least favorite hat. And they have to say, okay, how do we need to adapt this event based on the times? It's like everything has an asterisk on it. So what we want to remember this year are basically 2 key things. First, for some families, finances could be tighter than ever. So we want to be careful both in our email outreach as well as the way we communicate the kind of funds that we're seeking on Giving Tuesday. There's never been a better time to say no donation is too small, asking for $1, $5, $10, $15. Those types of donations make a difference. We can also use Giving Tuesday to maybe reach some of those new donors or some of those audiences that wouldn't traditionally attend one of those in-person events. So we can take advantage of that massive virtual landscape and try to reach some new audiences. So for this Giving Tuesday in particular, we just want to make sure that our outreach and our communications are very much in line with how people are feeling about the financial situation in the US. So just being really conscious and careful about how we communicate that and what we ask for. That being said, something else that is going to be super important is just making very clear what donations go towards. I think we always make it clear that your content should say, why you should give and what programs it goes to. But if you can, both on your social media and on the landing page where you're asking for donations, clarify who this is impacting, which exact programs are being affected, where those funds are going directly. For people to be able to see that, it's a lot easier for them to donate than to just say, oh, this helps, us with our academics every year. This helps us advance our mission every year. I think something like that is so vague that donors who are kind of on the fence, that's not going to be enough for them. They're going to need to see the faces, the people, and the programs that those donations are impacting. So we just want to be really cognizant of both of those things, making sure we answer that question, why give, in a more detailed and direct way than we ever have. And of course, be open to donations of all sizes and really try to focus on quantity, maybe over quality this Giving Tuesday. That being said, now that we all have our COVID hat on, we can leave it on or we can take it off for the rest of this episode. First things first, so number 1 of the 9 tips we have today is, if this is your first Giving Tuesday or your 10th, the first thing that you're going to want to do is head on over to givingtuesday.org/organizations, or just go over to givingtuesday.org. And you can actually grab a ton of resources they have for schools and nonprofits. They have a branding kit and they have tons of information, including a guide on how to make the most out of Giving Tuesday. So they update that every single year. So it's a really good way to just get started, see what they're saying the trends are, seeing what, the kind of marketing and messaging they're using to help lay the foundation for your own campaign. Now, you used to be able to get your school or your nonprofit listed on this website. It looks like they're no longer doing that in 2020. So there is no place on the website to get your name on an official list here, but you can grab lots of amazing official resources to help you get started and ready to go. So that's the easiest and first thing you can do. Now, Kristen, what is the next thing that our schools can do to prepare for their Giving Tuesday campaign?
Yeah, so number 2 in our 9 tips here is to create your own branded graphic for Giving Tuesday. So once you head over to givingtuesday.org, you'll notice, as Mia mentioned, all of the branding that they offer, things like that. It is a global initiative, so no doubt on Giving Tuesday, you will see a lot of content out there on it, and it's important to make a graphic that is specific to your school. So make sure that you're blending together that branding that Giving Tuesday offers, which you can find on their website, plus your own school's branding to really create a unique graphic for your school and for the day that you can use everywhere. So make sure that you're using, once you create this graphic, make sure that you're kind of using it for consistency across your communications so that people can recognize it, can find it easily. And also, you can also create a branded hashtag to associate with it if you would like to just have that conversation started in that outlet as well. Now, I would say if you're not a design expert, which is totally fine, we are big fans of Canva here. I'd recommend you can head over to Canva, free tool. You can use some of the branding elements that Giving Tuesday offers, and then also pull in your own branding to create a very nice, really professional looking graphic for the day. Now, I think going along the lines of creating your own branded graphic, it's important to also think about your website experience and how your communications are translated there. So Mia, what is number 3?
Yes. So I think, like with anything during when we're doing a marketing campaign or a fundraising campaign, we want to give it a dedicated space on our website. So traditionally, what I've seen is schools will just create or just send people on Giving Tuesday to their traditional fundraising page. Now, there's 2 reasons that I really don't advise this. One, we want metrics. We want to be able to track the specific success of our Giving Tuesday campaign kind of in a silo, both in terms of website traffic and total donations. So we want to be able to kind of isolate that from a metrics perspective. The second thing is traditionally on a lot of those landing pages, people are donating in larger amounts. We're going to see, donate 50, 100, 150, 500 or custom. With Giving Tuesday, we really, again, just want to make it as small of a donation as possible and not scare people up front that like the minimum is $50. That could have people feel intimidated. We want them to feel like the minimum they have to give is $1. So we're going to want to change up, their kind of what the suggested amounts are on that form, or just leave it entirely blank and say, how much would you like to donate today? Another reason that we might want to shorten that form and kind of change up the landing page here is simply because a lot of people are going to be accessing this page from social media and from their mobile device. We want to make it short. We want to make it simple. And we want to make sure that form is really short too. We know here at Finalsite, we're all about those short forms, but keeping it, this page should definitely be built from the mobile first perspective, both in content design and the length of the form itself. So definitely go the extra mile here and create that dedicated landing page. You can have your nice Giving Tuesday logo and graphics on it. You can have, a live social media feed for our schools that use Finalsite feeds. You can bring in a wonderful feed from all of your social media networks to drive buzz about the day. And on that page too, you can add all that specific content we were talking about, where Giving Tuesday funds go, who they help and how they help, and add all of that specific content here as well. So build out a page. It should be more than a form. It should definitely also answer that question of why give. So this seamless user experience is so, so important. If you are a Finalsite client and you're a Composer user, definitely use that device preview tool to check out what your page looks like on a mobile device. Now, there's kind of like this always, I feel like, argument as to like, should I put my form on the left or the right? So on mobile, your website is going to stack from left to right. So what I would recommend is, if you can, put the content of why give on the left and your form on the right. You're going to want people to see that content before they get to the form. We don't want them to just see the form and bounce. But what we can do is we can add a button to the top that has an anchor. So people who are ready to donate, they don't even need to read why give. They can just jump right down to the form by clicking a button and not having to scroll. So I usually almost always recommend keeping the form on the right, even in these cases, just because we want people to feel compelled and inspired by that content before they give. That being said, I think I just said content like 30 times. Kristen, the next step for this really is to create the content that we're going to share to propel this campaign across social media and email channels.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is so important when you're thinking about your entire campaign to think about content, because when it comes down to it, if you are asking for donations without giving something in return, there is not a lot there to inspire your community to actually give back. So making sure that you're building out crowdsourcing or even digging up past content from the archives to be able to use in your entire campaign is so important. And I would say, and ahead of that as well, just taking a look at what content you can create ahead of time is vital. So if you have the time, make sure that you're gathering this content now and kind of packaging it up, making sure that it's ready to go so that when it actually is time to execute it, you're not spending the time creating those assets at the same time as trying to get it out there. So answering all of this ahead of time and getting it all together is so important. So when you're thinking about content, you can consider something like a singular campaign video, which doesn't have to scare you. You can still do something, maybe over Zoom, have a script ready to go, have some, trusted voices in your community speak to it. You could have a series of why I give testimonials from previous donors. You can use blog content, which is so important here. It's very easy to share and consume blog content, and making sure that you're still thinking about what content you've used over the course of Thanksgiving season, which is what we talked about in last episode, making sure that you're using things like a unique hashtag maybe that relates to Thanksgiving. I know we mentioned in the last episode, hashtag Thankful Thursday, or I know Mia had a really fun idea of hashtag mascot name thankful for. So maybe like Wildcats thankful for, things like that, so that you can actually make sure that you are showing your gratefulness for your entire community leading up to Giving Tuesday will make the ask to give a little less unexpected, and it shows your gratefulness for the community so that users or your community in general may be more compelled to give on that day. So making sure you have all that content ahead of time is so important. You can also repurpose older content as long as it still helps answer the question, why give, which I think is really what should be driving your content as a whole as you're putting it together. Make sure that you're answering why give, have a compelling ask, making sure that you're telling your community where their money is going, and everything that Mia had mentioned earlier will really help drive that content moving forward. Now, I think, Mia, thinking about this season, and I know we mentioned this earlier, that maybe smaller donations will work a little better this year. Maybe, I know number 5 is thinking about a smaller, more targeted campaign. Could you speak to that a little more?
Yeah. So again, I think the more that we can make visualize what the impact is, the more likely someone is to give. I don't want to say it's basic psychology because I'm not a psychology major, but I feel like the more that you can get detailed as to exactly where that money is going, people are more likely to donate. I think during the holiday season, when people are already kind of strapped for cash, it's really important that you can kind of evoke that emotion or evoke that excitement or evoke that empathy that makes them want to give. So again, thinking about those smaller donations, what we've seen with Successful Giving Tuesdays is instead of really going all out and saying, oh, here's all the exact people and things that your money goes to, by saying, here's one super small campaign that all of our Giving Tuesday funds are going to. So in the past, we actually saw one campaign that was hashtag fill the bus, and it helped fund the students that relied on bus transportation for a particular school. It helped fund, the bus driver and the buses and all of that. So you can get that small, you can get that granular with your campaign. So, especially now we have a lot of students working, learning virtually. We can do a small campaign that maybe helps do something for our teachers or our students, something for technology, something where at the end of Giving Tuesday, you're gonna be like, yes, great. Like we saved enough, we, raised enough money to be able to, give more internet access to students in rural areas, or we were able to provide bus service, or we were able to provide something else. And I think that makes a huge impact, especially when the campaign comes to an end. So again, if you don't have, all these big, grand, maybe overarching campaigns, trying to pick one thing that you can channel all those Giving Tuesday dollars into, I think is going to be really great for those who participate in the day because they're gonna be able to see exactly the impact that they're making in a much clearer way. So that being said, Kristen, if we want to get people, I guess, to actually donate to our Giving Tuesday, I think up until this point, up until number 5, we really were talking about the tools needed for Giving Tuesday success. But next, we're going to dive into the promotion. So first things first that our schools can do is send an email, basic email.
Right. Yeah. So I think once you do have all of those first steps that we laid out kind of ready to go, you have your graphics, you have your messaging, you have all of your content. Making use of email in a lot of cases really is the most first successful step in making Giving Tuesday a success. So I think with your overall emails, the key is really to stay simple here, making sure that you're definitely answering who, what, when, where, why, and how, making sure that you're saying, why give? Here's where your money is going. Here's how you can give. Here are all of your different options, things like that. Making sure you're answering all of those questions up front will be so important. So in your email, include that branded graphic, include key information on how to give, where the donations will be going, whether it's your annual fund, capital campaign, or something else like those smaller campaigns Mia just mentioned. And of course, answering again, why give? So when you are thinking about that initial email, think about maybe sending out a save the date, think about sending out that initial Giving Tuesday email that has all that key information. But then I think the additional piece on top of that you don't want to leave out is your automation. So putting these into workflows, making sure that you're following up with messaging throughout the course of your campaign. And we would say, if you are sending that initial email, I think it's important to send at least 2 more Giving Tuesday specific emails that lead up to it, as well as an email on Giving Tuesday itself. So making sure that you're following up, just having a few days delay, maybe just 1 or 2 days if you're doing a kind of quicker campaign that reiterates all of the important information of giving to this great cause for your school. So make sure that you're doing this just to have a reminder for your community of why Giving Tuesday matters and why give in general. I'd say too, if you do have a weekly newsletter, make sure that you're using it Giving Tuesday and have a call out for it there. Any other regular emails that go out to your community, make sure that you're mentioning Giving Tuesday here so that they are made aware ahead of time. So again, when Giving Tuesday comes, it doesn't come as a surprise. And then really vital after Giving Tuesday is over making sure that you have a follow-up thank you email ready to go. And I believe we'll talk about this a little later, but making sure that maybe even on before Wednesday comes, making sure that you have a template ready to go just so you can have, results of the day. You can just kind of pop it in. You can send the email right away on Wednesday morning is so important. So having that initial email, some automation, and that thank you email will really help drive your whole campaign. Now, I think one of our favorite things here at Finalsite are page pops, and number 7 is creating targeted page pops. So Mia, what can they do there?
Yeah, and this is a quick one. We have seen so much success both on the Finalsite marketing team and from our schools just by adding a page pop to their website. So people are already visiting your website, and especially now more than ever before because of COVID, that your website is their one true trusted source of information. So they're logging into your website probably more than they ever have. So adding a page pop to your website to encourage individuals to give on Giving Tuesday is a great way to reach that audience. Now, with page pops, as simple as they are, actually comes a strategy. We don't just want to add that Giving Tuesday page pop across our entire website, because people who are checking out our admission section or our athletic section, or even our student life section, a lot of those are prospective families, and we don't want to be hammering them with a Giving Tuesday page pop. We want to add it to our homepage, probably to our calendar page and events page. And then of course, if we have any password protected portals for parents, for alumni, for teachers, for anyone in our community that we can reach. And what we can do, especially in those password protected portals, is customize the page pop a little bit. So tailor that page pop to parents a little bit differently than we would to alumni, and a little bit different than we would to other community members. So again, I know it's really easy, especially for Finalsite users, to just hit, post page pop and pop, post it to every single page on our website. But the more strategic you can get with it, it's actually the more likely it is to be seen, because, it's less noise. So those password protected portals are really a great way to get right in front of your family. And if you don't have a portal, if you've built a communication hub or some type of COVID hub that families are visiting often, that's another really good place to add it as well. So that being said, I think probably the most obvious way to promote Giving Tuesday is on social media, Kristen, because I think that's really the propeller that keeps the Giving Tuesday momentum going on the day of. So that's number 8 is promoting
Yes.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think social media is really where schools will find success in terms of Giving Tuesday, because that's where the most noise happens about it. And it's so vital to have a space, on social media to be able to get your message out there. So I would say on social media, first and foremost, and we touched on this in our last episode, don't only post on Giving Tuesday. Obviously, your ask needs to feel a little more organic. You need to have that strategy kind of going all month long. So right now is the perfect time to start thinking about this in the weeks leading up to Giving Tuesday, making sure that you're showing thanks to your community. You're doing those branded hashtags that I had mentioned earlier in that content section, making sure that you are really just giving thanks to your community for all of the hard work they've put in this particularly trying year, so that when you do gear up for Giving Tuesday, that ask feels a little more organic. I would say, again, as we had mentioned earlier, do your best to prepare all of this content ahead of time. It will do you a lot better to do that now than to be thinking about it on the day of. Keeping our 70-20-10 rule in mind, which really is 70% of your content should be fun, educational content, 20% of it should be shared content from members of your community or thought leaders, and only that last 10% of it really should be promotional content. So keeping that in mind when you're scheduling out all of your content leading up to Giving Tuesday is so important here, making sure that you're saving that 10% of content for that important ask on Giving Tuesday. So, just think about it all ahead of time, look at your calendar and help strategize that way. I would say on the day of, live video is super fun on Giving Tuesday, going live, giving live updates on the status, doing countdowns. We've seen schools do a lot of fun things with live videos and kind of, the day of updates and things like that. So think about that the day of. That can be something that's not necessarily prepared ahead of time, but can feel a little more organic as you have results of the campaign coming in. Now, I would say if you are thinking about a paid campaign, that's great. I think that's important, of course, in getting your content more out there in terms of social media algorithms and the noise that happens around Giving Tuesday. Something that is backed by some dollars can really work in your favor in getting some more eyes on it. So I would say for a larger campaign, if you do have the budget, you can set up a campaign the entire week leading up to Giving Tuesday. You can target your audiences based on your constituent status. So students, parents, grandparents, alumni, etc. That really, you can tailor your entire content to engage with those different audiences, so you can really speak what they're interested in and really be a little more engaging to ask for that donation on Giving Tuesday. I would say if you are thinking about budget, really a realistic budget to make the ads kind of work for you and just making sure that they'll actually get seen is about $50 to $100 a week leading up to the campaign if you are thinking about doing something larger. Now, I would say additional to that, if you maybe don't have a larger campaign in mind, but you do want to make sure on Giving Tuesday that you have a specific post getting seen by your overall community, I would say you could test out boosting a post. It's really simple. If you do have that branded graphic for Giving Tuesday that we had talked about earlier, or if you have a campaign video or anything like that, you can just post it on your social media and boost it, say for maybe $100, to ensure that all of your followers see it, especially on Facebook. That is a great area to do that, just to make sure everyone's seeing it, everyone is seeing it at the top of their newsfeed, they don't have to look for it, and it has that engaging, compelling ask to give a donation. So social media is huge here. I would encourage you to take a look at all of that content we talked about creating earlier, looking at your calendar and being really mindful of how you execute that entire campaign. Now, last but not least, and I know I touched on this earlier, our 9th tip is really to make sure that you say thanks. So Mia, what can they do to ensure that this works for them?
Yeah. And I just feel like, again, this is one of those super important, vital steps that we really don't just want to send an email at the end that's like, thanks so much for making Giving Tuesday a success. We really want to do our best to create an entire thank you experience, whether that's through a video, whether that's through a custom landing page that has all sorts of updates, whether it has the name of everyone who donated. I think when we send out this thank you, especially during this time, we really just want to do our best to, again, go that extra mile. So we can send an email, we can post on social. I would do your best to make some type of video. So you can use a free tool like Animoto and take screenshots of all of the social media posts and have those automatically put to music using a free tool like Animoto. Or just have your entire advancement team come on and just say a quick thank you for the donations, write up a quick script, have everyone record it on Zoom, even if they're in the office. We just want to make sure that people know that their donations are so helpful to your school, especially during this time. So that being said, I know Giving Tuesday is just a couple weeks away on December 1st. Thanksgiving here in the US is next week, and then we're going to be going into a very busy holiday season. So as Kristen said at the beginning, this is our last episode of 2020, but we are really looking forward to coming back starting Monday, January 11th, for I guess season 2 of the School Marketing Show. In the meantime, we would love it if you emailed marketing@finalsite.com and just let us know, what strategies you want to hear more of and just how we can help you do your job better as a school marketer, communicator, admissions professional, or advancement professional. This show is really all about you and just trying to provide some helpful tips in a regular and I think somewhat like laid back environment. This isn't a formal webinar or a formal event, but, talking about the things that matter most to our schools is really important to us. So please send us an email, let us know how we can help you. And we're really looking forward to seeing you all again in 2021. I think we're all ready for 2020 to be over. So with that being said, happy holidays, happy new year. And we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, thanks everyone.